Hello everyone, bringing you another unboxing video today, and we're looking at some interesting bits and pieces which have been sent over to me from Ireland by a chap who goes by National_Army 1922 on Instagram, and very generously sent me some Irish combat uniform, which is Irish Defence Force combat uniform, some insignia and bits and pieces. That's the stuff I know is in the box. There may be the odd extra bit as well. Very kindly gifted me these items. It will be very interesting going forward to compare them to British kit, because the Irish Defence Force used a lot of straight up British manufactured kit and uniform, but they often adapted items and modified them themselves as well. So contrasting the combat uniform with 1960 pattern, which it's based on, as you'll see, will be very interesting going forward. Obviously that's all stuff for other videos. This is just a quick run through of what's arrived, so we'll take a look at that now. So here we go. The usual thing with this, I've undone the tape ahead of time just to save on all the noise and everything. Move this out of the way to one side for the minute, and we'll get the bits and pieces out individually to have a look at. Those who are familiar with British Army kit will recognise a lot of this stuff. Irish issue woolly pulley, jersey heavy wool, in British terminology at least, differs in having this rather neat pocket which would disappear off the design. I forget the date on that, but quite a nice item. This, it's in lovely condition, and we have here what I believe to be Eastern Command, that is. Now the 2nd Brigade, the Irish Defence Force, if I remember correctly. Still relatively new to all this, so I apologise for any errors. Obviously this stuff will be covered in more detail going forward. What else do we have in here? We've got a waist belt here. Unroll this. And this is a adjustable trouser belt. You see adjusts on one side there with a sliding buckle. And again we have the classic, the Mills hook and loop buckle in a rather nice chromed finish in this instance, as you can see there. The next thing we have now, it was mentioned there'd be something in here which I wasn't pre-warned about, and that's this 1943 dated a manual of fieldcraft and battle drill, which will be interesting to contrast with British practice from the Second World War era. Look here, quick flick through this. Saw a diagram. There are some full colour diagrams here. That's interesting. Sections. Interesting. So section attack, battle drill attacking a pillbox. Very interesting. Will be very interesting to have a look through that in more detail. And then we have here a Irish Defence Force cap badge, stay right example. You can see there. There we go, if it focuses on there. So that's rather nice. Lugs appear to be missing off this, so I'll have to repair that. That might be something to look at in a future video. And we have here some combat uniform. We have the trousers from the combat suit. Now these are, that pocket there should be fairly recognisable on the leg. These are an adaptation, a development of British 1960 pattern, which the Irish Defence Force used pretty much unaltered. There's an interim design where certainly the jacket was modified, had different types of top pockets, and then this suit was introduced in, I believe, the earliest I've seen of what's called the combat tunic, which we'll have a look at in just a second. There's one of those in here as well. They were introduced around 1985. That's the earliest example I've seen of one of these. Happy to be corrected on that date. But it is an adaptation of the British 1960 pattern. Obviously you've got fixed belt loops and things here. There are differences, but it's the same sort of weight of cloth, very heavy duty. And these were worn right the way through the 1990s. So quite a long-lived uniform. Well, not that long-lived, I guess, but quite an antiquated uniform, I suppose, but well liked because it's very heavy duty and very well made, as we'll talk about in future video looking at this in more detail. So that's the trousers from the combat suit, the last green Irish Defence Force combat suit. And we have here the combat tunic, and you can see on the label there, that's what it's called. The stitched collar, which should be immediately recognisable to anyone familiar with British combat uniform. And the big difference, the pockets, the lower pockets are essentially the same. The upper pockets are what really mark this one out, and they'll zip. zip pockets that you can enter from the side, you can access from the side there, similar to the map pockets which would be introduced on British 90s combat uniform, on the 1990s smocks that were introduced. So quite an advance on the design really in that regard. You can access these whilst wearing web equipment, which with the normal 1960 pattern pockets is rather difficult. And I really like these, this comic, not just because it's derived from British practice, but because it's interesting and quite a good design, very well made, very good quality, especially considering this is made in the 1990s. It's still using heavyweight metal zip and so forth. It's very high quality, especially considering some of the combat uniform which was in production at the time, the equivalent British combat uniform, which is based on the 1985 pattern. This is very much higher quality in terms of manufacture and so forth. But as I say, we'll talk about this in more detail going forward. And the last thing we have in here, last thing we have in the box, is a short sleeve sort of fawn shirt, as you can see here, pleated pockets, epaulets, and again we have the insignia there on the arm, Eastern Command. So that's a fantastic set of uniform there, and it's something I'd not really entered into previously. One thing that was mentioned, I should just check through the pockets. Okay, so we've got, check through the pockets on the smock and the trousers. Sorry about just rustling in the background here, because I was told I should do when stuff arrived. Okay, so we have a couple of pieces of insignia here. We have a, I believe to be a 90s era name tape, Martin, you can see there, just an embroidered name tape. And then we have here rank insignia, and this is for essentially the, forget the title, I wouldn't try and pronounce it anyway without first hearing it pronounced by someone else, but anyway, but essentially equivalent to private first class. So you have 2-star, and well, you have no insignia, you have 2-star and then 3-star privates, which are, the rank goes up essentially throughout training as you achieve different levels of training and speciality and so forth. But the 3-star private, essentially equivalent to private first class. So yeah, rank insignia there. So that's a fantastic little lot of stuff there. Thank you very much indeed. So there we are. A big thank you again to National_Army 1922, as I say on Instagram. Thank you very much indeed. Once again, really very kind of you to send over those bits and pieces. The uniform is very interesting. As I say, there'll be a comparison video of that in more detail coming up soon, hopefully. And as I say, always interesting to see another country take on sort of British military uniform and equipment and modify it to their own needs. I'm always interested to see that, as you'll probably have heard me say in previous videos. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video, I think. If you like this sort of content and you'd like to see more, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you're newly subscribing or you've already subscribed, do make sure you hit the little bell down below to be notified when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, you can do. There is a PayPal and a Patreon link down below. Thank you very much to everybody who supports me through those two methods. It's greatly appreciated, as I always say, and it really is. So thank you very much for that. There's also social media for the channel, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, again, all linked down below. And of course, there is the email address as well, should you wish to contact me via that. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video, I think. So until next time, bye for now.